think his wife killed.
We'll call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. We will start in our usual manner with the prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and roll call.
Pastor Steve is there.
Okay, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this great evening, this great day, and thankful to see a lot of people in the audience. We live in a great country. We have so many freedoms. Just help us not take advantage of that. There's lots of decisions that need to be made tonight. Help us make the right decisions. That's great for the citizens. In this I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Baker? Yes. Barth?
Here.
Jones?
Here.
Ridgway?
Yes.
Bassett?
Here.
Beverly?
Yes.
We're privileged to have Roberta here tonight from RCAP. I guess you get to go to the podium.
Okay.
We might be missing your microphone.
It's there
Can't
inside.
fix it. Man, I'm gonna pass.
Definitely over.
Thank you, Cap. Thank you, Ron.
All right, well, I came back tonight to kind of go over the asset management plan items with you again. We did have a special council meeting 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I know some of you couldn't be here, so I hope you've had an opportunity to read through the materials that we left. And if you want, I can go through some of the highlights of that, but I don't intend to take a lot of time, going over the presentation word for word. I know you've got some decisions to make related to rates and how you want to proceed with your capital improvements, so that's mainly what I was prepared to talk about with you. So it's up to you, or if you want to just ask me questions, we can do that too.
For those of you that got your last week, or the special presentation information by email or copy, do any of you have any questions for Roberta about any of that?
I don't.
Kent, do you have any areas that you, or Mike, areas that you would like to have Roberta highlight?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Roberta for working on with the asset management plan, and Jesse and Kent and Cheryl and everybody. That's going to be the kind of formula we're going to be working with our water department for years to come. Within that plan, of course, our rate increases, things that fit with our infrastructure, our fixed costs, our variable costs, all that, plus capital projects, water tower, well fields, line replacement throughout the community. So, and then a lot more things besides that. But there's some heavy capital outlays within that plan, and that's what we're addressing with our rate increases and everything else, to look at that for the next couple of years, basically, with the water tower and the well field. I think are our two major ones. We have to submit that to the EPA. We have to make sure our rates are adequate when we file for loans and grants and anything that we're applying for. EPA holds us accountable to those rates have to be self-sufficient within each department, water, sewer, and refuge. So a lot of numbers were crunched, a lot of ideas were thrown around,
Yes.
a bunch, and I know Roberta and her staff have been working really hard on that. And like I said, I don't know if any of you, we have a rough draft of an ordinance in there with our rate increases for the next couple of years. I don't know if you've seen that, but that's what we have to address. That's what the recommendations are. I think we need to hold fast to those recommendations. They've been looked at heavily. Thank you for all you've done. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Michael. I appreciate it.
Got one question.
Sure.
When are you going to have this ready for us to vote on the first reading?
Well, I think Cheryl has the ordinance ready.
Yeah, the next meeting.
Next meeting, have the first, and we're going to do 3 complete readings, and hopefully it's enacted by the first of the year.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. So in terms of the work that we're doing, we intend to have the draft report finalized by the end of next week. So if you have any other comments or questions between now and then, get with me so that Julie and I can finish the final report. We'll send the draft over to you guys to review, and then there'll be another week or so for you guys to take a look at that and get back with us on anything you have concerns about, and then we'll get the final copy so that it can be submitted to the EPA by the end of the month. Okay.
Thank you so much, Roberta.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberta.
Have a safe trip home.
Thank you.
Next, I would like to invite Mike Brown to the podium from the Hicksville American Legion Post.
Thank you, Mayor. I won't take a whole lot of time. I just kind of wanted to go over what our American Legion up here. I'm the commander now, and for anybody here that doesn't know where the American Legion is, it's a big brick building across from McDonald's. But anyway, the American Legion really started after World War I, post 223, which we are also post 223. But that was in Pennsylvania, and it was actually started by Lieutenant Colonel Teddy Roosevelt. I don't know if anybody really knew that or not, but they were incorporated in February of 1919. Hicksville's Edward C. Smart Post 223, state of Ohio, got their charter on August 1st, 1919. We had 55 World War I vets at that time in our American Legion. Basically, I just wanted to stop in and let you know what we're doing at the Legion right now. We've got plans to demolish the big White House just to the north of the Legion building. That'll be all stone parking then at present time. Hopefully someday we'll be able to blacktop all that, but we've also got quotes on putting new windows in and chair lifts for the handicap. We want to make that building completely handicap accessible. Years ago, for the people that have been here a while, you can remember that anything that happened in Hicksville, it happened at the American Legion building. All the receptions, parties, whatever. So we want that to start back again where we're available for the public to be able to utilize that building. On October 19th at 11 a.m. we're having a flag burning ceremony, and I didn't know whether we need to have a permit for that, a burning permit or fire department or whatever, but it's all going to be contained in a barrel. So I talked to the fire chief. He said there'd be no problem bringing a mini pumper or something out there for that day. We really don't know how many we're going to have, but I think there's quite a few collected. So other than that, the only thing we've got kind of in the wind, and I think the mayor has gotten one of these before. I'll just pass a couple of them around. This is something that we're kind of thinking about adding to our memorial, Veterans Memorial down there. Those pictures there are from Veterans Memorial up in Monroe, Michigan. And, the helicopters are available, and we do have a trucking company that has already volunteered to get it here. Basically, our cost is going to be, and I think with the steel plant, we can probably get a platform made, but we think that would be a nice addition to the memorial that we have down there. But since the city owns that land, we need to have an approval before we can, proceed with trying to obtain this. So, and then, of course, we want to go through the Veterans Memorial group too, make sure that they are in approval of it also. But having it up on a pedestal like that would keep it from getting vandalized and things like that. So, but that's just something that we have in the wind right now. We already have our new M1 rifles coming. The rifles that we're using for our honor guards are 1903s, and they misfire a lot. So sometimes it's not really the people that's firing the weapon, but they kind of go off whenever they want to. So we have all new M1s. Well, they're not new. They're from World War II, but we're getting the M1 brands, and they are being shipped as I'm speaking now. So we should have them any day now for our honor guard. So basically, that's all I got, unless somebody's got a question. Yes?
Do you have a certain location picked out for the helicopter?
It'll be located right in behind, so it doesn't interfere with what we got. It's going to be probably centered somewhere. It's going to look like it's going to come in for landing. And
There's, I wasn't sure exactly how far away from the existing memorial, because the property in between there, the school owns a section of that in between from what the village owns.
right. And
So just want to make sure you're aware of that.
yeah, and if we have to go to the school or whatever to get their approval or whatever, but I don't know exactly. It'd probably be just on the other side of the mound is where the platform will be.
See,
So,
the backside of that mound's technically on the school property now.
okay.
So,
Well, maybe we can have the platform on city property and half of the helicopter on there in the air.
Airspace.
Open airspace, maybe, I don't know. But I'll check with the school to see if there's any problem also. If you decide that that's something feasible that you'd like to see down there. But we want to make sure we go through the Veterans Association too that did the memorial. So everybody's on the same page and we know what we're doing.
I think you've got a fantastic idea. That would look so great.
I think it's just something that would really add to that,
Yes.
So,
Mike, for the community's sake, I would just like to say, there is a box up here outside of the utility window that people can put their flags in that they want discarded and burned. And are there other places around town that you're aware of where people can take
we
them?
have boxes up at the Legion that we've been collecting in. And as long as we want to get it in the paper too,
Okay.
so everybody knows that, of course, not everybody gets the Hicksville paper, but maybe. I wouldn't know why it's the best paper in town.
And the Crescent's here again.
But maybe
What's the date again?
get something in the Crescent too.
What's the date again?
The 19th of October, Saturday,
your actual
11 a.m.
I believe the Hicksville Bank has a box up there in the lobby.
Yeah, a couple.
isn't the box out here Boy Scout?
Oh,
I think there's something on there, Boy Scout.
oh, that's the Boy Scouts box?
You need to double check.
Okay. Thank you for coming and giving us an update.
Hey, well, thank you very much for your
Mike.
time.
Need to amend the agenda.
Okay. Cheryl has pointed out that we need to amend the agenda to the one that's on the table tonight, I presume. And Cheryl, is there something you need to add?
It was the ordinance that was added for the property, or the easement on Edgerton.
The vacation of the road.
So you can reflect in your minutes. Would someone make a motion to amend the agenda?
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda.
I'll second it. No, Larry seconded it.
I'll give it to
Roll
him.
Baker? Yes. Bassett?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Barth?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Ridgway?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, you have the regular, or the September 16th regular council meeting minutes in your packet for approval. Are there any additions or corrections to the September 16th minutes?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that. Roll call?
Jones?
Yes.
Ridgway?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Barth?
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
Baker?
Yep. And then you have the September 26th special council meeting minutes in your packets. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, would someone please move to approve them?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call?
Baker?
Yes.
Bassett?
Abstain.
Barth?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Ridgway?
Yes.
Jones?
Abstain.
You had in your packet a copy of the approved bills list, and when you came to the meeting tonight, you had another page to approve. Are there any questions about the list of bills that you have?
Yes, ma'am. Philly door at the water plant for $5,300. What did we do?
That was replacing all the walk-in doors, and they did some work on the overhead door. The walk-ins were all getting pretty rusty and jumped out.
Okay. And wastewater treatment plant for $26,468. The electric, Everly Electric.
That was 17,000 of that was to replace a VFD panel. And we went through one of those, it's probably been 10, 11 years ago. Ate up a big chunk of that. And then the rest of the work was just a lot of electrical. We blew some big fuses in the blower building. And then as he was checking into things in general down there, wiring and some other stuff, he found back when they had changed one of the motors out several years ago, they had put it in backwards, the electrician, so we got that corrected. There's just a lot of electrical related stuff went haywire in the blower building. And I did ask, as far as that VFD panel, he goes, there's no way of knowing when they're gonna go, so it's not like a preventive maintenance issue on that. Same with the fuses. Just trying to think, 5 of those happened to blow. Those were like $2,300 just for the fuses.
The fuse will only blow when there's a problem. Did we find a problem, or?
Yeah, you got everything fixed. You got it.
Okay.
And he also did a little bit of work on a paddle drive motor.
Okay. The Hicksville grain, where we bought $450 worth of weed killer. Aren't we getting a little bit late in the year to be killing weeds?
It's a park.
That's the park, yeah.
Park? Any parkers down here?
I think they usually do spraying in the fall to kill weeds.
They
Yeah.
were spraying, I did notice they were out
It was
spraying.
a week ago Tuesday they started.
They usually spray for the clover and everything that's down there. They've been doing it for the last few years.
Okay. And Climb Incorporated, tops and signs. Did you girls get a bunch of new tops?
Signpost tops. I had some more street signs.
Oh, okay. All right, that's all I had, street signs.
I have one question, Cheryl. The First Federal Bank analysis fee, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's every month.
Every month? Wow. It costs that much every month?
No, it varies. Depends on how many transactions and what kind.
Okay. Oh, I guess I've never seen it. Right.
I talked to her about eliminating that at the finance committee meeting, and she said she tried and it can't be done.
Okay. I move we approve the bills.
Yeah, and I'll second it.
Roll call?
Jones?
Yes.
Ridgway?
Yes.
Barth?
Abstain.
Beverly?
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
Baker?
Yep. Okay, we will go on to boards and commissions. You have minutes in your packet from the nuisance board. You can see that Mike Daly's been very busy with that. Are there any questions about that?
Oh, keep up the good work, Michael.
Then we'll go on. You have Park Board minutes from September 18th. Any questions about that? Okay. While we're on boards and commissions, Mike has brought to my attention that we need some board members for the CRA board and the zoning board, I believe. Some people will be going off. Do we have anybody going off right immediately, Mike? Or are these all for January 1st? Well, CRA.
CRA, we would need one immediately.
Immediately, we need one.
And the planning commission will need one first.
Okay. So if there's anyone out there in the community that feels like they would like to be on the CRA committee or the zoning board of appeals or planning commission, whichever Mike has an available seat, I would like to see some people step up and volunteer for that. They can call my office or get hold of Mike Bailey.
Can I ask, what's CRA?
That's the community reinvestment area that we passed this year so that people can remodel their homes and apply for a tax break so that their property taxes don't go up for a certain number of years. And, you know,
Buy a vacant lot and put a house on it, same thing.
yeah, keeps your property taxes down. So we just need, we have a board or a commission set up to make those approvals when people apply. So anyway, I hope people will show an interest in that.
We got one thing I meant to say during the park board. I don't know if anyone's been down the park lately, but you see a lot of dirt on Field 1. That's the Girls Softball Association. That's the money they're putting into. I know we waived their fees and everything, and that's money that they're putting back into the park. So that didn't come out of any of the park funds or anything. It's all, they have a Mark Savage contracted out to do all that work and crown the field and level it all out here sometime soon. So.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Some left when he gets there.
Thank you. Okay, going on to council committee reports. You have minutes from the ordinance committee meeting on September 23rd. Is there anything that anyone would like to report on?
Well, yeah, I can say that we met on September 23rd. A couple items were from some residents here in Hicksville had some complaints and wanted us to talk about it. So one of them was the noise ordinance. It's kind of vague currently what our noise ordinance is. We did a lot of discussions on it. Talked to our police chief, got his recommendation. They don't really lack, or I guess we lack the equipment to be checking decibel levels and everything else. And all depends on when they show up on whether it was loud then and there. So we haven't had a lot of complaints on that, but we did talk about it and decided to leave that alone for now. The second item was we had quite a few people, since we're a golf cart friendly community, and especially now that the beautification committee has John Deere Gator that they drive around town. We've had some other residents in town want to know if they'd be able to drive their Polaris Rangers or Gators around town if they got them street legal. Talked to the chief on that too. We were okay with that. The committee with all 3-0 was in favor of doing that as long as it was past the police officer's inspection, and they had insurance on it, plates and everything else on it, and Troy was going to maybe modify the existing golf cart ordinance to include UTVs, not ATVs, but UTVs. We weren't going to have 3-wheelers and 4-wheelers and stuff like that on the roadways, but we also had an individual here in town that was concerned about, he plows some properties, and he drove his 4-wheeler in town to plow sidewalks at churches and stuff like that. And it's illegal. He didn't think, knowing the conditions, he wasn't out rotting around town. Didn't think the police officers would be, writing him a ticket or anything if he's out doing an act like that, cleaning sidewalks and driveways. So we just wanted council to know that we were interested in kind of changing or modifying the ordinance for golf carts and UTVs on the roadways. So that's about all we talked about.
You address lawnmowers and stuff?
Oh, we didn't. No, we didn't talk about lawnmowers.
I
Yeah.
do see, there's a young man who, he has a cart, I think he mows some lawn for money. You know, to me, that's not a problem, he's going to a job site, I don't think he has a vehicle or a trailer in all of them, but, you know, I see him on the road to do that kind of thing. You know, serving a purpose and they're not recreational driving around their lawnmower.
Yeah, now there would be more of a slow-moving vehicle sign, I would assume.
Yeah,
They
if
wouldn't
slow
need
moving, then he'd be exempted under the law if he met all the requirements and had the slow moving vehicle sign.
But didn't we have someone that was riding a lawnmower, and pulling trash in behind a trail with a trailer
I think
and
so.
was told he couldn't do it?
No.
Was he in a riding?
He was at that time, if it's the same guy, he was doing it with his golf cart.
Oh, his golf cart?
And that was prior to us becoming golf cart friendly.
Okay. Thank you, and I guess we'll just wait for Troy.
I'll have it at the next meeting.
Okay.
Thanks.
It's just modifying though, I mean, it won't be.
Right.
It's mostly definitional stuff. The rest of it will still be, the requirements like seat belts and all that stuff will all be the same. It'll just be the definitions.
Going on then, we have the Police and Fire and EMS Committee met September 19th, and you have those minutes in your packet. Does anyone have any questions or would like to make comments on it?
Chief will bring it up later.
Okay. And you have the Finance Committee meetings from October 3rd in your packet. Any questions or comments?
Mayor, the Finance Committee met. Our primary situation, our primary problem is our refuse department is operating in the red. We worked on different ways to fix that. I think everybody received a draft of the projected, courtesy of Cheryl, who worked all these numbers out. Trying to do this so that we don't give everybody a big hit. Just slowly give a small percentage each year as the thing goes on to keep the thing in the black. A lot of people don't understand the way that our city government works, which is statewide, is you cannot run a street department, refuse department, you cannot run any department in the red. It has to fund itself. So no matter what, we have to do this. So there will be a slight increase coming first of the year, and then from then on through the next, I think Cheryl has this worked out for the next 5 to 6 years. It'll be a slow percentage, just kind of a cost of living type of thing. So if anybody has any questions?
I think everybody likes the garbage pickup now.
Oh, yes.
I haven't heard one negative one, so and the recycling's great, so.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Ron. A lot of people, they don't understand what all this money covers. And if I forget anything, can't you jump in there? But it not only picks up your dumpster in front of your house, it's your mosquito spraying, it's the lot we have down here where you can take your brush and things, it's your leaf pickup, all those things are included in that refuse bill that you get every month on your water bill. So there's a whole lot more to it than just we picked up your garbage. And I hope that everybody knows that, and I hope everybody appreciates that. I know from when I was in business and having my junk cars and stuff, now, you go to out here on Gingrich or go straight to the landfill, you can't do anything for $16. Not going to happen. Plus, you've got your vehicle going to Defiance or going out to Gingrich, or you got either a pickup truck or a car with a trailer and your gas and your time. For $16, they pull up in front of your house and it's gone. It's a wonderful thing. I hope nobody gets too excited when they see that we do have to have an increase.
Thank you, Ron.
Well, I think the garbage service is great. I love it.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you.
Quick, Mayor, real quick, water sanitary, I put the meeting minutes here. We met Thursday, October 3rd. We met with Jones Henry Engineer. That was to discuss the well field proposal. That's the Haver property there behind Haver Drive. It's over 80 acres. Before we even wanted to look at purchasing the property, we wanted to make sure that it was going to meet our needs for future well sites and to put in wells. We are at capacity at the plant. We're at capacity that side of the plant where we put all our wells in over the years. There's a lot of logistics and stuff. You can't be too close to the railroad tracks. You can't be near a storm, sanitary structures, all kinds of things. Jesse's been working on this extremely well, also with Kent's and Jones Henry. But they give us a huge pile of papers, and after all the studies, the hydrology study, the geophysical study, that's x-raying the ground, they do believe it is a good site, favorable site to put in, at least starting out, 2 wells to help with our future needs. We have one good well right now and another well that's kind of on its last leg. EPA, of course, mandates that we have to have 2 solid, ready-to-go wells at any time. Committee, engineers, Jesse, Kemp, Troy, we all feel that this would be a good purchase. We think this is the way we need to go, not for now, but this is going to be an impact for our community with good water source for many, many, many years. Closest place to the plant that we can get to. Of course, we have to work with the railroad to get a pipe over to the plant, and that's not always an easy thing to do. But we feel it's favorable to start the project rolling and get things in place to, of course, do the purchase and also start building the walls and apply for some grants and funding for down the road. And that's, again, back in the asset management plan, that was one of the bigger projects that we were taking into consideration. Any questions?
Thank you, Mike.
Mayor,
And
if I
committee.
could,
Yes.
back to finance. We have the budget for 2020. Everybody did really well. Each department did really well. We have one department that is still not quite into where we need it to be. You know when we might have your figures, Scott?
A little bit over. He's working on it.
Working on it? Think it'll happen soon?
I don't know.
You demand. Thank you, sir. A little tweaking, yep, I understand. Just wanted to touch bases to make sure that we were working on it. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? Yes.
Yeah, we haven't met since, I think it was September 26th or something like that. But the sidewalk committee, we met, we discussed options on either maybe adding a rate on there where the village takes care of sidewalks. For instance, a $3 a month fee, or also the other choice was to leave it alone and enforce our current ordinance. And we've had plenty of time to let community members talk. And we've all talked many times. We've seen what the new rates are going to be going up for water, sewer, trash, all that type of stuff. So I think maybe we should close that out, and so the people that have sidewalks that need fixed or the village employees can move on with however I guess we vote tonight on either having the $3 fee or leaving it alone. So
I'd like to make a motion, leave it alone as is with 10 or 5 years.
Can I, before you guys do that, I addressed this young lady here when she came in tonight because I didn't know her, and she would like to speak about sidewalks. Can we give her that opportunity before we vote?
Sure.
Hey there, I'm Megan Cover. I spoke on it last year at this time, I think, when it was discussed. I just wanted to put out there that my personal opinion is to have each person just worry about their own house or their own sidewalk. When you buy a house, like, I know we bought our house 6 years ago, and I had no understanding of how much stuff goes into the upkeep. A sidewalk is keeping it up. And I feel like if I'm forced to pay for my neighbor's sidewalk or 2 blocks away sidewalk, that's like getting a participation trophy when your team loses. Like, it's like I should be in charge of someone else's problems. So I don't know what you're going to vote, but my opinion is just everybody should worry about their own sidewalk. But I do think it should be enforced because there are certain sidewalks in town that are not that great, but a lot of them have been fixed, which I commend you guys for making sure that's been taken care of.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate you coming to a council meeting to tell us your thoughts on that.
Thanks.
Okay, go ahead, Larry.
Well, I guess before you vote too, I mean, I had Mike come special, so I'd like to put this
Closure.
away forever and ever.
Mike,
I mean, you can vote on the $3 fee or, whatever that was. I mean, that's fine. But then I had sent a message to the sidewalk committee, just running some options past you so you can talk about them, quiz him, because I don't know what all he's done, not done. Leaving it the way it is, doing the fee. I'd also suggested, there was some concern about our people doing the work. If you wanted to see if Mike could maybe get a contractor to come in yet this year and do those, 30 spots or whatever it is, or put it all on hold and bid it out over the winter with those 30 spots plus whatever's coming up due in the spring. So I'll turn it over to you guys. You can ask Kim and go from there.
Have you looked into getting someone? Is there someone available? I think at one of the last meetings, they said that we couldn't get anybody.
At that time, it was just for doing individual one. If we get somebody that wants to do all of them, I think we would get some participation from the contractors.
For this year yet?
I hope so.
Because it needs done. We've talked and talked.
The thing of it is, do we have the money available? And that's up to Kent. So that's always a...
Can't
Do we,
find it.
Ken?
He'll find it.
You guys keep saying,
We'll find it.
Famous last words.
We'll do it.
We'll find it.
at this point, here's
Don't know
where-
how much yet.
Well, I had some leftover paving money. So other than maybe a spot or two yet where we've dug up, I want to try to get fixed. But I was hoping to have about 40-some thousand.
Don't tell the general public how much we got there. They're liable to be bidders.
Well, no, I'm just letting you know financially. Any work I do on the sidewalk, plus now I've discovered that footbridge across Defiance Avenue needs some major work, so I'm getting some estimates on that. So I'll be using my leftover paving money for that, which I'm hoping is minimal. And I had set aside, well, public record anyway, I had set aside $12,000 for cement costs for our guys. Now that's going to include the 2x4s, whatever. I don't know if I was even going to come close to covering his 30 spots or not.
No, it's roughly it's 120 yard of concrete, so that's a lot of concrete.
Well, I didn't, so I've got some money.
But you'll get reimbursed. You just got to put it in
Yes.
front.
Well, years from now.
Well,
It's like
no,
5
it's
years.
not.
people have the option of paying it right away then.
Yeah.
True. Okay.
So yeah, technically there is some money to get some done yet this year. I mean, if you want Mike and Jimmy to get worked out, those guys doing it, hey, fine, we'll go that route. If you want him to try to find a contractor to get it done this year without fail, then he'll have to start contacting people, and they can't do a panel this year and then wait and do the other 29 next spring.
The only problem that, in my mind, of having our guys do it is it's going to be a full-time job.
We're running out of time.
For quite a few weeks leading into months for 30 different locations. And if we can take our guys from whatever they were doing and have them do that, they obviously weren't doing the other.
Well, we're getting into leaf season, and thanks to Cheryl, I found out I've got an issue with that. We'd be doing leaves through November. We would make it work if that's what you guys want to do.
I think we need to bid it through the
I
contractor.
don't care. I'm just throwing those options out there.
Our guys hopefully have way too much to do to be messing around doing sidewalks. So, Michael, I think you should get us a contractor, and if you need help with any, are you listening to me? If you need help, okay, if you need help with
Never did that in school.
I still stay in contact with a lot of contractors, so, if you run into a roadblock, maybe I can help you out with some new names or something. But here it is, October. We've got 2.5 months left of this year, so it could be tough getting anything done yet this year. The economy's good.
Does anybody else have any comments before? Larry, you made the motion to keep it the way it is?
Keep it as it is.
Yep, I'll second.
Roll call?
Baker?
It's the owner's responsibility.
Yes.
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
Barth?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Jones?
No.
Ridgway?
Yes.
And I'd just like to know,
We were beat, there wasn't no sense in fighting.
I've had several phone calls on this, and a lot of people just stopped me on the street, and I told them I would speak for them because they didn't want to come to the council. Megan came. I asked her to come because she did a great job last time. And I had 2 people that won it and 5 that didn't. So, and that's who we work for.
Yeah, we've already voted, but I had 6 for the fee and 60%, 40% against the fee, so I'm just voting what people contacted me.
And that's about the rate that I had, but as I stated, when Sheila told me her numbers, I think the people that come and talk to us, the people that said they agreed with Sheila is because they agree with Sheila. The people that say they agree with me is because that's,
But, we voted, and that's fine.
It's over with.
It would be nice if somebody could help
Several
somebody else.
years
work
now,
on
not
it,
bring this back. Thank you, Megan.
Like I said, Kim and Mike, I know they work with people. There's times when they can't afford it. They just flat out can't afford it. And they're going to try to help and work with them to get it fixed and make some type of payment plan and get it in and worked out.
They've been doing really
It's been
good.
that way, Mike.
No.
It's not a new thing that we're working with people. We've always done it that way.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, any other council committee reports? We'll go to the administrator's report.
I still want to make a motion on what Bob said.
What do you say?
He's moving. I'll make a motion. But anyway, as everybody can tell, Muse Argonne's still closed. I actually saw a human being down there today, but they've not been working. I don't know what they're doing, and they won't tell ODOT or me. Operator field day was a week ago tomorrow. Sounds like everything went fairly well. There's about 60 people showed up, ballpark.
Can I make a comment on that real quick?
Yeah.
Hicksville did a terrific job. We were able to get this field day in our community because somebody else were not able to do it, and Jesse and Troy and Jeff and Austin and the street department, Jimmy and Bub, and they did a wonderful job. I talked to some of the RCAP people afterwards. They were very impressed with our equipment, where they had them set up. Everything was right there in the park to do their testing and show how the different applications are to clean out lines and smoke test and all kinds of good stuff. But it was a nice day, and commend Kent and his staff and everybody of the job they did for him. So.
Can I expand on that a little bit? For those of you who don't know what a field day is, water and wastewater operators, and I guess this is for the public as well, we have to keep up our education. It's not just you get licensed once and you're in for life. You have to continually learn new rules and regulations, learn new techniques, learn new equipment. Just same as a lot of other careers, you have to get continuing education. And just the way the demographics lay in our state, the northwest quadrant of the state doesn't get a lot of training opportunities because we're so rural and spread out. Everything tends to lead towards Cincinnati, Columbus. They try to hit the southeast. We don't have a lot of opportunities in the northwest. So when I was contacted that could we possibly come up with a site for them to bring the training to Hicksville. I mean, not only are we northwest, but as we all know, we're almost Indiana. So for them to be willing to come that far away from the core of the state to offer training, I jumped on it. And our pavilion was a great classroom in the park there. They trained wastewater operators, off on one side. They trained water operators off over here, and they even had a track in the classroom all day for administrators, council members, billing clerks, the behind-the-scenes things where a lot of the public doesn't see out working. So we volunteered fervently to have them keep coming back year after year. They seem interested, but anyone who was driving through the park that day, that's what's going on. We're training our people, we're staying up to date. A councilman there, seeing the ins and outs and everything that goes on, so thank you guys for having a nice facility out there because it made an impact.
They were very happy there.
They were.
Yep. And you had a 90-degree day.
Oh, it was awful. Yes. But no, those 60-plus operators that showed up from around the Northwest District were thrilled to have something closer to them. I mean, we typically have to drive quite a ways to get our training. So to have something available in our district was great. And the fact that the training company, which in this case was RCAP, they loved it as well. So hopefully we can continue that relationship with their training department, if you will, and keep coming back for us.
Make this a yearly site kind of thing. So.
We're hoping. Anyway, I just wanted to explain for anyone who didn't know what a field day was.
Yep, thank you for doing that.
I had nothing to do with it. That was fine too. No, I drove through the park once late in Vegas to see what kind of crowd was there.
A little different.
The next thing, I've already heard from a few people about collecting leaves. Don't have a start date yet. We got to wait till there's a lot more down before we're running the machine around. Also asking folks not to rake or blow them into the street. But they do need to get them to the edge of the road. Last year we had some issues with a few people. They thought just getting them to the edge of the sidewalk was effort enough for them. We kept saying, no, you got to get them to the edge of the street. So hopefully people will cooperate this year. But an end date will probably be December the 6th, depending on the weather, of course. But looking back, it might be next week. We might be making a round or two, making sure stuff's operating right. But there's not enough down yet to go pick up. Columbus Day, we are working. Some people thought we were off, but we're not. And trash will not be affected by Columbus Day either. So people should still put theirs out next Wednesday, the 16th. And if anybody's thrown away their Whirlers paper, we got copies up here. You can go online and get the paper that you ought to keep all year so you know when things are happening. And otherwise, I've just got a list of the third quarter employee hours worked. And I put on your desk this afternoon that OML legislative bulletin. At the very bottom, it talks about the upcoming state budget. Sounds like they might be instituting the old, they've not had it for years, where you could ask your legislator to put you on the list to get some funding for a project, so keep an eye out on that. If it's something we can nominate one of our high dollar ones for, it'd be worth contacting your legislators. And that's it, unless you got questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Kent? Thank you.
Keep up the good work, Kent.
We'll go on to the solicitor's report.
No comment.
First thing I have is ordinance 2019-13, first reading by caption only, an ordinance vacating a portion of Edgerton Street and declaring an emergency. And if you saw, I put a little solicitor's report on. I'm going to try and do that going forward, and hopefully I'll get it to Cheryl before the packets go out and everybody can read in advance. But in that paragraph, I explained Kirk Miller's in the process of doing some business transactions that include some transfer of real estate, and when they had a survey completed, they, which is attached to the back of the ordinance, they realized that there was a platted extension of Edgerton Street that's never been improved, never been used, goes right through their property. And so in order to clean that up and allow them to be able to do the transactions they need to do, Stan Yoder was representing them. He contacted myself and Kent. They're the only affected owner, and they signed a consent form, which Cheryl has in her office, which is what's required so that we don't have to advertise and everything, and we can just do it on our own motion.
Do you want to do this now? I move we suspend the rules. As much as I hate to see the oldest business in Hicksville close, we'll help them leave.
I second it.
Roll call.
Baker?
Yes.
Barth?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Ridgway?
Yes. So second and third readings, ordinance 2019-13 by caption only, an ordinance vacating a portion of Edgerton Street and declaring an emergency.
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Ridgway?
Yes.
Jones?
Oh, yes.
Barth?
Yes.
Beverly? Bassett?
Yes.
Baker?
School.
Yes.
So then, like I said, I did have Cheryl put it on earlier today, but in case people didn't get a look at it, I'll touch on them. The last two are the ones, because I got a couple questions I need answered so I can complete some things. The Haynes Enterprise thing, I'm going to have legislation next week to authorize us to enter into the release in exchange for the money that we talked about before. I talked to Rodney today. He's got his money in line and everything, and he's ready to go. A couple revisions that, nothing major to make to the document. And then we're going to exchange them by email and be in a position to get that wrapped up by the...
Is that simply to buy their land?
Yeah, that's the...
Okay, has nothing to do with their loan?
That's just to pay off where we were basically saying they didn't meet their obligations under the Land for Jobs. Yeah, that's what that is. 5 Acre Mill, the mayor asked about that the last time. I called Jerry again today because I hadn't run into him lately. He said he left a message last week from Mr. Becker again and hadn't heard from him, but he did speak with Dennis Miller to see what he may have known since Dennis has been involved, and he confirmed that through his sources, the information that I gave you the last time about their use of the Village RF revolving loan fund to purchase equipment that they're using, and that they don't have any plans at this point for their expansion. So Jerry said he's going to keep trying regularly, and not sure what he needs to do to speak, but evidently Mr. Becker's not been available.
What do we do when they don't do that? When they don't fulfill?
Well, I guess the question is if they borrowed money from us to buy the equipment that they bought.
I thought it was to expand.
Yeah.
Was it to buy equipment?
I think their money from us was to buy they were getting money from the state for expansion from, I'd have to check the documents again, but that was my recollection through my conversations with Jerry, was that their money from the village was to purchase equipment, and that we were going to have a lien behind whoever their institutional lender is, but I can double check the documents. Again, that's just from...
I thought it was an expansion.
I'm sure it mentioned the expansion. Use the equipment in the new expansion, I'm sure. But
So are we covered for, what's protecting our investment? What do we...
Well, I mean, when they gave them the loan, they would have been financing statements and security. I can double check on that, but that's what Maumee Valley Planning does. When they close the loan, they have the security agreement. There certainly is personal guarantees signed by Mr. Becker and his wife, since it's owned by a company, and there should be liens on any equipment that was purchased. But I'll double check that. Make myself a note. Cheryl and I there was a question that came up about we had passed and done everything we needed to on the annexation out there across from the school. I spoke with Mr. Kuhn's attorney after our last meeting. He double-checked with the county officials. I don't know where the confusion was there, but they actually sent some of the documents back to Cheryl, which she has. I called him today and told him that I would retrieve them from Cheryl, and he's going to pick them up tomorrow morning in my office and hand walk them over to the county offices and make sure it gets recorded and transferred and documented so that that's not an issue. The vacant lot in Oak Park, Kent and I, after the last meeting, had a discussion about what was involved on that. It's not an easy process, but there is a process. As you recall, the lot was dedicated for use as a park when that was platted out there and accepted. So there, rather than just being a piece of land that the village owns that we could decide, hey, it's no longer needed for village purposes, let's have an auction and just sell it, there's a process that has to be followed. Chief amongst that is you have to get consents from a bunch of adjoining property owners. There's extra advertising requirements and things that have to happen. I'm not sure if he's thought about it anymore. When we initially talked about it, it sounded like he wasn't too excited about doing that. I mean, it is what it is. If that's something people are interested in, the two of us can get together and lay out
I thought this was your idea.
It was originally until he heard
it out there.
until he heard what was involved. But if that's something that anybody's interested in,
You can't just forget it.
just let it.
Just let it lay.
We don't pay taxes on it, right?
I think
Yeah, it's minimal.
minimal.
Still.
We don't maintain it.
Nope.
Somebody mows it,
Saul
picks
does.
up. Okay, whatever you guys decide.
And then the last thing is, and it was mentioned earlier, is the park contract. Cheryl sent those to me after the last meeting. I'm not sure who drafted them, but I started making, I mean, it's basically the same content, but a bunch of wholesale changes. And what quickly became apparent to me was we talked in a lot of generalities about what was being waived and not being waived, and there actually were several fees listed in there that they were paying. And so I wanted to make sure we were all on the same page as to what was being waived and not waived. And there are a few little details on amounts and stuff, which I can get from Cheryl or from the park board. But as I read the contracts or whatever, there were fees for use, for lack of a better term, during the regular league season. There were fees for use if they hosted a tournament. There was a rental fee for the concession stand, I think was $300 in the case of the Baseball Association. Then there were electricity fees that were brought up boys only, as I recall. And then there were fees, which we knew were going to remain if there were extra keys that were lost and they had to replace them, and I can get those amounts. I want to put those all into the same agreement. It just makes sense if they're fees related to the use of the fields, they should all be in there. So I guess the question that I had was it just the regular yearly fee for regular season play or whatever, or was it the tournaments?
Tournament, the lights.
And everything. So basically, the only thing they would be paying was the keys.
Yeah.
Was that everybody's understanding? Okay. And then the other question, or I guess it's just a point, they've been, and Cheryl, correct me if I'm wrong, they've been signing this like every year. So I realize that what we initially talked about and we approved was giving them a break for the 5 years. Obviously, it's, just so you guys know, it's up for yearly renewal every year. So even though that was a suggestion, if things go drastically different over there and you're not seeing the effort that they've promised and they're not everything, it's being reconsidered every year, just so you know. So that's the way the contract will continue. That's the way it should be. It's season to season. So that gives them incentive to keep up their end of it and everything. So now that I have those answers, I will, within the next couple of days, have those finished. And then I will probably forward them on to Cheryl, and somebody at the park board or somebody can get them to the associations to look at. I think, yeah, that's everything I have.
Do we also, Eric, do we need something that says that per village permission, it decides what can go around something? Do we need that listed or not?
I think it was going to be up to the village administrator or zoning inspector, one of the two, or a combination. Good timing.
He's out.
I'll let him worry about that one. I got enough stuff going on.
Do you feel as though it needs in hard print, or just take it case by case and little gray area out there and everybody can say we're just doing it because we know that guy, or?
I don't know if our sidewalk ordinance right offhand says it's got to be a straight line now or nothing. I don't think it does.
I don't think it does.
Okay.
I'd say it could be a case by case.
All right.
I mean, I'll talk to Mike and we can go.
A quick question for Troy also.
Yep.
With the well-filled property acquisition, do we need legislation?
What we need
on
to
that?
do is we need to waive our contingency in the contract, which I actually will see Mark Haver first thing tomorrow morning in court. So we need to, I'll draft something where we waive that.
Okay.
And then then we can proceed towards the closing of it. So whatever work needs to be done is, to finish up title searches and deeds and things like that, and then get it closed as soon as possible. So.
Because we already kind of voted on it.
No, we already signed a contract that was contingent upon things that you just said it passed. So now we're obligated to buy the property, so we just, prepare a document that says we're waiving our contingency and let's proceed to close. So I'll talk to him about that tomorrow morning.
Don't you think?
Let's have a brief one.
You want to have for land acquisition?
Yeah.
You want
Brief
a motion?
executive session for When is that position?
Can we just do it at the end of the meeting?
Yeah, I would say so, yes.
Yeah, and it's going to be quick.
Okay.
Ken?
I had something in my throat.
Anything else, any other questions for the solicitor? Okay, we'll go on to the department head reports. Chief Dunning? To be more specific?
Let's see. Well, first item of business is would like to hire Roston Becker as a patrolman. He is a Defiance City resident. He is about 36 years old. He is graduated from Defiance High School. He just graduated from the Police Academy in May of 2019. We'd like to hire him to replace Officer Tyler Maynard, who left us for Williams County Sheriff's Office.
Does anyone have any questions for the chief about this person? I'll make a motion to hire Roston Becker as a patrolman. What? Because you have some different levels for their, based on their experience.
So he would be starting out as the lowest patrolman.
Okay.
Two.
Pending good screen and physical and background check, all the usual
It's all-
things, Cheryl?
Yeah. He has accepted a conditional offer. It's based off of his physical, passing his physical, medical physical and stuff like that. So if everything comes out good with that.
I made the
Make a
recommendation.
motion for the mayor's recommendation to hire Ralston Becker.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Baker?
Yes.
Barth?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
Beverly?
Yes.
Ridgway?
Yes.
Anything else?
Just September's stats, 444 calls for service, 210 of those are cases. Seems like there was a third thing. I think that's it. So,
Are you going to be hiring another patrolman here shortly?
that's the third thing.
There you go.
The third thing is, yes, I want to, yes. The third thing is that Officer Stose's last day was October 5th. So yes, I am working on hiring that replacement.
Did you get his exit questionnaire?
Yes, I do.
I would just like to ask that your officers kind of, when they're cruising around town, listening for those noise issues, because we have a couple spots around town that I'm getting complaints about, and evidently, it seems that on occasion, the noise is turned down before the police department gets there, in at least one case, and maybe...
I think there's actually two that we've responded to, and it hasn't been there when we've gotten there.
Yeah, that's probably both of them that I hear from. So, I guess, one of them, at least one of them seems to be playing music all the time, which I don't even know if it's, the person says they have to go totally to the other side of their house and put earbuds on just to get away from the noise and run their air conditioner. But, that might get annoying to hear music constantly next door. Even if it's not that loud, I don't know.
Is it good music?
I don't know. I didn't ask. But anybody else have anything for the chief? Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
Chief.
We will go on to Chief Kramer.
I'd like to thank everybody that came out and supported us this last weekend on the reverse raffle. Everything went pretty smooth, had a good turnout, and everybody had fun. This October seems to be a busy month for us. The 12th, next Saturday, we have the 5K and the breakfast. The breakfast starts at 7 to 11. The 5K starts at 9 a.m. The 26th of October is the carnival from 6 to 8. November 9th, we have our feather bingo. So that'll be a good time if everybody shows up. Breakfast is this Saturday, the 12th.
Did you say it starts at 7?
7 to 11.
7 to 11 for the breakfast. The 5K takeoff is 9 a.m.
And you're going
It's at the fire station, yeah.
We're all in that one. Not the same one that you get a donut at and a beer, right?
No, that's in the afternoon for the bandits. Bingo is November 9th.
I got grandkids.
Bingo, doors open at 4 p.m. for bingo. And then carnival, the 26th from 6 to 8. And I'm assuming that's going to be a trick-or-treat night also?
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys decided 5 to 7,
Yes.
so that
5 to 7
You'd be geared up.
trick-or-treat, and you can come to the fire station starting at 6. 6 to 8, be games.
Good job.
Fun stuff to do.
Thank you so much. Anything else?
I don't believe so right now. Oh, the EMS, I updated the EMS bylaws. Just cleaned up a few things and added the EMRs in there, the first responders. You guys want to vote on that tonight to accept it?
Well, I don't know that anybody's had time to read it,
Okay.
but one thing that I glanced through before it started, currently, what's your policy on, before this, what was your policy on any responders that missed the 5-minute or missed the bus? Did they drive to scene in their own vehicles? Or do they?
It says they're not allowed.
Only if needed.
What did you say?
It says in here that they're not supposed to show up to the scene in their own vehicle.
They need to check with the squad on scene and see if they're needed or not.
Okay.
Right here.
What page is that on, Eric?
Third, well, if you flip it over, it'd be the third page, membership responsibilities down there, bottom, driving to the scene.
And that's not where I saw it at, because I saw it,
Part of it. Maybe the next page.
in route times, maybe. Let's see.
I read most of this.
It does say in route times at the end of the paragraph.
Well, yeah, en route times. If an EMT arrives late and the squad is left, he or she may drive to the scene in their personal vehicle. Any such occurrence will require an explanation to the deputy chief at the earliest opportunity.
Where are you reading that at, Diane?
It's like the
The next
third
page
full
after driving the
page.
scene.
Yeah.
Halfway down.
En route times is
Oh,
the,
okay. What's kind of a contradiction to
Yeah.
the first one? Driving to the scene, and then we flip the page over and we've got a different scenario for it.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll give everybody a chance to read this before the next council meeting. Cheryl can put it back on the agenda, and we'll approve it. If in the meantime, if anybody has any questions for Scott about anything in it,
That needs looked at.
get a hold of him.
I'll get that.
Anything else?
I don't believe so.
Thank you. You guys are doing a great job. Have a lot of activities going on, and
Thank you.
a lot of fun.
Cool, thanks.
Thank you, Scott.
And I don't see anyone here from the park, so we will turn our page over and go to the fiscal officer's report.
This is the most important one. The real thing will be next time for the first reading on everything we talked about today. And first, second, and final reading are important because it gives us just to our 30 days. And in the meantime, we're also going to be having all of our other ordinances for the end of the year, the pay ordinance and the budget also. You have the fund status for tonight. You have your current list of revolving loans as of September 30th, and your income tax, mayor's court, utility collections, and I think that's all I've got for you.
How's the Sherwood, how's it going to collect for Sherwood? How's that going?
Good.
They're happy and
Well, they're much happier than having to deal with Rita,
Uh-huh.
but, yeah.
Yeah.
Cheryl, just up for curiosity, how's come on the second from the bottom on the revolving loan fund, how's come that was always referred to for the Olive Valley for status?
That is because they're always 1 month behind because they have a missing payment and they use the service. So I've turned it over to Mommy Valley to handle it because that's what they do.
Okay. I've always wondered about that.
Yeah, and I haven't gotten the extra payment, so.
How long has this been going on, Cheryl?
For a year.
What they are, MVP is paying you, or nobody's paid you?
No.
No?
No.
What are we going to do about that?
What do you want me to do?
Get the police to go after them.
Give me a loan like that.
Put it in the newspaper minutes.
They're making their
There's just the one payment you've never received.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there's just one that's.
Yeah, one got skipped.
Make me a loan, and just that'll be the only one I don't pay.
Oh, well, I thought you meant they weren't paying anything since.
Oh, no.
So, sorry about
The
that.
only one
Yeah.
that's marked MVP. And you're saying they haven't paid anything for a year?
No.
No, no.
Just one payment that's in question. They've been making their regular monthly payment.
No, yeah, I don't know why they do not get that taken care of. You've showed them all kinds of proof.
I know. And it's only $247. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Cheryl. We will go on to the mayor's report. I would just like to say that everybody really seems to be enjoying the scarecrow displays around town and having a lot of fun with it.
Actually can't.
Thank everyone for their participation on behalf of the beautification committee.
That's a fearsome one out front.
Yeah.
Well, that's going in the lawsuit, Kent.
I almost went back to work because Kent told me to.
While she's talking about the beautification committee, we had a meeting today, and we're talking about Main and Arthur, and I know it was brought up here in September on what we thought we would like to have done with that. And they're having all kinds of plans drawn up, and they got grants for trees, and I think we should find out, number one, who owns it and what you guys would like to see done with it before the committee goes on with more plans and planting trees.
Who owns it? Who owns it?
Do you want to keep it?
Yeah.
Nobody has it. Do we have to? See, that was another question.
No, I think that was part of that deal.
Petition of their grant or something.
Pawned it off on us.
They pawned it off on us. We had to keep
As a
it.
public place forever and ever and ever.
So we have to keep it? Okay. See, there's no answers. Everybody's just whatever, so.
You have to keep it. What more do you need?
Okay, would you like to see, okay,
Can't do that, Kent.
okay, it's not possible, okay. Now, they have a grant for trees. They have a $1,000 grant that will be refunded at the end of the year if they don't use it. What would you like to see them do with it? Do you want them to do someone? Do you guys have some ideas you would like to have done with it? Or do you want them to go and see about going ahead and having plans drawn up for maybe a gazebo and swings and stuff, if they can get manpower to maintain it? That's another question she asked at the meeting. And we don't have any answers on that, so I told him I would see what I could do.
I hate to say it, but I know when they were here last time, they talked about possibly hiring another person to maintain it because Dawn doesn't have enough time to do that. And I can just say from all the stuff at the school, landscaping and stuff, it takes countless hours to maintain that to make it look nice. And it's going to be a beautification thing for the village, and it's just overgrown with weeds because there's no manpower or man hours. It's going to cost us more money coming out of our budget to hire somebody. I mean, nice and clean and maybe a couple items here and there. I'm not all for cluttering it all up with tons of trees and a lot of high maintenance items.
I'd like to see a water line put into that garage and power if it doesn't have it now, and
Well, we're the ones that decide, so.
And y'all keep your stuff right there.
I agree. Me too.
Just keep it nicely mowed and a couple benches sitting around here under the what's existing shade, and that'll be lovely.
Get the grant and plant the trees.
No trees, just whatever's down there. Just there's some big maples on other people's property that shade that lot pretty good.
Okay. Well, we have the meeting is the 28th. If we could get something decided so I can tell them. Because we waste a lot of time talking about doing things and drawing up plans when we don't even.
You need water and electricity and
I agree.
And y'all to be in there. Have to keep all your stuff in there.
What do we have to do to get that?
He's smiling.
No, he would like us out of the garage, I'm sure.
Power and.
Well, that garage is gonna need to upgrade it a little bit. I think my youngest grandkid could break into that, and he can barely walk. I mean, it's a flimsy building, so you might need to insulate it a little bit. I mean, there's nothing in there. I mean, I don't even think there's plywood on the walls. I've not been in there for a couple of years. Water line is still there from the house, so running water over that way shouldn't be a big deal. It's got absolutely no electricity. I don't want to end up with a welcome to Hicksville sign that costs us $1 a day forever and ever and ever, because it's going to be using the minimum.
Yes.
So by the time you set a transformer and all that, I forget how much you get wrapped up in getting stuff installed, and then the $365 a year. I mean, to me, it's a expense you don't need, but
Maybe we run an extension cord over to one of those houses.
do that. Maybe get cable while you're at it.
Yeah.
Give them TV.
Man cave.
No, if you guys want to see that building fixed up for their use, that's fine, but it's going to cost some money up front.
Well, can you guys think about it and maybe next meeting come back with something?
Well, we've talked about it forever.
I say just mow it the way it is and.
Yeah, so do I.
Just leave it?
Yeah, they filled it all in and filled in a little pump. Nice level now, plant some grass seed and just maintain it. And
Was there a gentleman at your meeting today? Because I got a call last week. What in the world happened to our rain garden? I thought
Yeah.
it had something to do with you guys.
He got a hold of Susan.
Okay.
He wasn't happy yet. So I'll just take it back to him. You would like to just pretty much see it like it is, only mowed up nice and neat. And what about the water and the water line and electricity?
It's not an expense, I don't think it's necessary.
Well, water's not a problem. Just go in there with a frostless hydrant and you won't have heating or nothing like that. So all summer long, they can fill their water tanks and stuff there. And
Right, you stick one where it's behind the bush now, can you? Well, you might not know. Troy would know where it is.
Yeah,
We could just stick
it's right
frostless
by where
hydrant
the pond was.
outside. That way you wouldn't have
Give
to
us
run
a
water
full
line
light
over
while you're
here.
at it, because we need light to fill those tanks.
Didn't I just mention the electricity?
It's dark over here.
Well, that's because you guys are too cheap to turn on a breaker.
I think we need to do.
We got lights next door.
I think we need to do something with it.
Put that in there.
I mean, not something, I mean, either make a little park out of it, let the beautification use the building and put a little bit of money in there. I just can't see, we gotta mow it every week, we're spending money doing that. It's just, it's a useless piece of ground. I wish we could give it back so somebody could even put a building on it, or a house where we're running out of. It's a beautiful site for a home. It's too bad we
Yeah, it
can't do
is.
that. But just to let it sit idle and let the building fall apart, and
I know.
we gotta do something with it.
It would postpone things a while, but what about a Nature Works
grant?
There, you're back to maintenance, though.
It's one of those things people, you can find volunteers to put stuff in like that, but it's hard to keep them around for year after year to maintain it. And
it's like
you don't want to get stuck.
Everybody's
Well, no, I was
done.
just throwing
Party's
that
over
out
with.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if it's a park, let the park take care of it.
I mean, like they talked about the one in Bryan. I mean, it's really nice. It really is. But they have a lot of hours.
That man was at one of our meetings, and he has 3 people that, I had wrote down how many hours was that in a week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a bunch.
There's
It'd be
a,
nice on that lot to have a nice sign that directs you to the park.
There's run right across the street.
That's just a little street sign.
But
Talking, you know,
he wants-
Now we're talking more
big
money.
lights and
Then you'll want lights.
So,
lights and stuff.
Keep pointing down to the house.
so you're gonna water and electricity to the
Down there.
building?
I like the idea for the water.
Well, I think we can get a frostless hydrant like we got at the memorial.
Oh, yeah.
It's hidden by that bush. I don't think we need to run it all the way over to that building. I don't know what that would really gain you. I mean, I guess we can stick it wherever you want it.
You could,
I said the only downside I could see from putting it out where the line currently is by the old pond is if the ground is wet and they're trying to drive that whole tanker gator across there.
Well, they shouldn't be
Then
out
they're gonna be calling
watering.
you to drag them out at whatever hour in the morning.
if you run it up by the building and get it up close to the old stone driveway, I think it'd be a better deal.
Do you guys need the use of that building?
And everybody can pull up there and wash their cars.
I'm sure
and
this,
stuff.
Kent would appreciate us being out of their way over here.
You're not in my way.
Well,
Some people might learn how to drive a little better, but you're not in my way. I'm just saying. That applies to a lot of people. But no, you guys really aren't in the way over here.
well, we decide what you want to do, so I need,
Jesse and Troy can get water over towards the building at least. If you want any electricity, we'll check into getting the electricity. They're gonna wanna know though what you're gonna use and what size this, that, and the other thing.
I think it's an added expense we don't need. We're already talking about cutting the budget and spending money.
We're cutting the budget?
If the building's kind of
you what?
iffy, if the building's kind of iffy, you don't put electricity in
I
it.
don't know, I didn't look at the roof when I was down there to see how bad it was.
We've roofed it since, our guys did that a couple years ago. But I was thinking inside, it's not the sturdiest. I could be wrong, you've probably been in.
So is it good?
It's got a dirt floor.
It's not concrete floor?
We carry the very minimum insurance on it. The building, I mean, just simply because if it falls down, it's not.
It's not. Guys, it's just sides inside. It's,
Well, it's gotta be worth something if we put a roof on it.
so, I won't even bring up an electric garage door opener.
Okay. Yeah, by the time you put the battery chargers and overhead doors and
Plus, the gals are all going to have to know how to back.
TVs and stuff.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at. You don't have, like you do here, where you can open two doors.
Well, that's a 16-footer door, isn't it?
No, it's just a regular garage.
Oh, no, that's a big wide thing.
I bet
Going
they would
down,
have
I'm going
issues.
down and take a look at that.
probably 9 by 16.
Yeah, that's what I think it is, yeah.
Nice two-car garage.
But to go in and turn around inside, I don't.
Oh, no, you're not gonna-
Well,
we're not gonna do
see,
that.
Some,
Well, if
I'm
they
not
can't,
making fun of them, but some can't back.
if
you
they
won't
can
Why-
back into a 16-foot door, or through a 16-foot door.
Well,
I think they could back into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Through it, Larry, through
I
it.
have to open both, like pull in one and go around to the
Well,
other.
yeah, I was gonna say, and
That's with the trailer.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know
what
about
they
the
do
gator. I've
now.
never
That's
tried
why
backing
we
the gator.
keep the center bay as empty as we can, so they can pull in and turn around. And that's not a big deal at this point.
The gator back's easy.
When we need it in the winter, you're not gonna be out watering.
Yeah.
So no, you're not in the way over here.
So just leave the building sit like it is and leave the land sit like it is, and we'll keep, Mike will keep it nice and maintained. And the grant money returned.
Can't use it anywhere else.
That's what I suggested to him, you know, there's got to be some place that we,
Park or?
that's what I said.
I don't think the park just wants trees planted around there. I don't-
You check with them.
Yeah.
Ask him when you ask him for the benches.
Okay. I will check with the park about
Please.
trees. I will.
All right, going on, if that's, if you
Sorry,
have your
but I had to get
answers,
it in.
that's okay.
Yeah, that's the way, I understand, we're going to leave it as is, and
Okay.
Okay, so as is, are we running the water line up then or not?
Nope.
That changed quick.
I'm
that
trying
one
to
lost
follow
me.
along.
I guess well,
I mean, if you're going to keep your equipment up here, you've already got a water standing
Yep,
up
Right,
here.
you don't need it.
Yep.
so we're keeping our equipment here?
Yes.
Oh,
Everything's staying as is right now.
okay.
How the heck did that happen?
I didn't know that happened either, but I know. I thought the property there was just staying the same and we were still moving, but so everything's the same.
Well, plus
Okay.
you're gonna need a furnace in there.
Yes, yeah.
I forgot about that. If you don't winterize it good enough. I think you had an issue last year or something, didn't you?
Well, certainly you winterize that stuff, don't you?
I think they had an issue last year with something. But
I don't remember that.
I won't go into details on that. Well, no, because
The last thing I have is that Mark Young came and spoke to me, and he just wanted you all to know what his plans are for next weekend for the Oktoberfest. Because he doesn't know what the weather is going to be like, he wants to put a tent up from his door out to the edge of the awning, I think, or something. I don't think it's all the way out to the curb, but I didn't write good enough notes or remember well enough. So that if it rains, people can still sit outside without getting wet. They're going to have tents and their invited breweries out back set up so that they cannot, run around back there. They'll come in from the front of the building and can go out and sample other breweries' beer in a tent behind their place. So
Where would that tent be? Because they don't have any place.
Right here, you mean?
the alley, in their alley behind their business. They have an alley behind their business. They're not getting back here behind our building or anything.
They're very big tent, isn't it?
So, anyway, they just wanted you to know what their plans are, and hopefully everyone will come up and enjoy the day.
Are they blocking the street off uptown again?
Nope.
Not the show.
Not blocking it.
That's probably why they're putting it out back. Yeah.
So they're really excited about it because they have a lot of guest breweries and
They've done well.
coming, yeah.
They do
So,
well.
a new menu out, so they're excited. So now, I guess one of you would like to go into executive session, if there's no other business from anyone out there.
Short executive session to discuss land purchase.
Second.
Roll call?
Baker?
Yes.
Bassett?
Yes.
Barth?
Yes.
Beverly? Ridgway?
Yes.
Jones?